We believe the metaverse will be the successor to the mobile internet. We'll be able to feel present.
Mark Zuckerberg's $90 billion bet on a virtual world that nobody wanted burned through more money than the GDP of most countries. In 7 years, Meta's Reality Labs division crashed one of the world's most valuable companies and became the internet's biggest punchline. What really happened behind the scenes of Silicon Valley's most expensive failure is a story worth telling. On October 28, 2021, Mark Zuckerberg stood on stage at Facebook Connect and made the boldest announcement of his career. Facebook was dead. Long live Meta. The company that connected 3 billion people was pivoting to something called the Metaverse, a virtual reality world where we'd all live, work, and play as digital avatars. This wasn't Zuckerberg's first VR gamble. In 2014, he'd paid $2 billion for Oculus, Palmer Luckey's revolutionary headset company. John Carmack, the legendary programmer behind Doom and Quake, joined as CTO and promised to make VR mainstream. What started as an acquisition for gaming had somehow morphed into Zuckerberg's escape plan from reality itself. Wall Street initially loved it. The stock soared. Tech pundits called it visionary. But what nobody realized was that this wasn't really about creating the future of computing. A leaked email from 2015 revealed Zuckerberg's true motivation: escape Apple and Google's stranglehold on mobile. The metaverse was never about user demand. It was about corporate fear. That fear was about to cost him everything. The money started flowing immediately. In 2020, Reality Labs lost $6.6 billion. By 2021, that number jumped to $10.2 billion. These weren't startup losses. This was a profitable company deliberately setting billions on fire every quarter. Zuckerberg promised investors it would pay off. The metaverse would be the next iPhone, the next internet, the next everything. The cracks started showing almost immediately. February 3, 2022 became known as Black Thursday for Meta shareholders. The company reported its first ever quarterly revenue decline, user growth had stalled, and Reality Labs had burned through another $13.7 billion with virtually nothing to show for it. When markets opened, Meta's stock crashed 26% in a single day, the largest one-day loss in stock market history. $230 billion evaporated in 8 hours. That's more than the entire market value of Netflix, gone, in one trading session. The real disaster was just beginning. While Zuckerberg was promising a revolutionary virtual world, the actual product was embarrassingly broken. Horizon Worlds, Meta's flagship metaverse app, looked like something from 2002. Users were represented by legless avatars with dead eyes floating around empty virtual spaces. The graphics were so bad that tech reviewers compared them to a 2008 Wii game and called them eye-gougingly ugly. Meta had aimed for 500,000 monthly users by the end of 2022. They barely hit 200,000. Internal documents revealed that most virtual worlds were completely empty, with only 9% of user-created spaces getting any visitors at all. One damning internal memo summed it up perfectly. An empty world is a sad world. Even worse, Meta's own employees wouldn't use it. Vishal Shah, the VP of Metaverse, sent a brutal internal memo that leaked to the press. For many of us, we don't spend that much time in Horizon, and our dogfooding dashboards show this pretty clearly. Why is that? Why don't we love the product we've built so much that we use it all the time? The simple truth is, if we don't love it, how can we expect our users to love it? The company had to threaten managers to force their teams to use Horizon Worlds. Think about that. Meta was literally forcing its own employees to pretend to enjoy their $90 billion experiment. Nothing prepared them for the Avatar incident. On August 16, 2022, Zuckerberg posted what he thought was an innocent selfie. His avatar standing in front of virtual versions of the Eiffel Tower and La Sagrada Familia, celebrating Horizon Worlds expanding to France and Spain. What he actually posted was internet comedy gold. The avatar looked like a disturbing cross between a Nintendo Mii and a dead-eyed mannequin. No legs, plastic skin, vacant stare. It was so bad that it became an instant meme. Twitter exploded with mockery. Kotaku called it a legless knockoff of a Nintendo Mii with the eyes of a corpse. Someone said it looked like it belonged in a fever dream. The billionaire CEO of one of the world's most powerful tech companies had been cyberbullied into submission by the internet. 3 days later, he posted an updated avatar with better graphics, essentially admitting that his $13 billion project looked like garbage. John Carmack, the VR legend who'd helped build Oculus, was watching the train wreck unfold. In December 2022, he resigned from Meta with a scathing farewell post. "We have a ridiculous amount of people and resources, but we constantly self-sabotage and squander effort. I think our organization is operating at half the effectiveness that would make me happy. When one of the most respected figures in VR calls your $90 billion project wasteful, you know you're in trouble." The financial bleeding accelerated. 2022 losses hit $13.7 billion. 2023 saw $16.1 billion disappear. By 2024, they were burning $17.7 billion annually. Every quarter brought the same ritual. Meta would report massive Reality Labs losses. Zuckerberg would promise the metaverse was just around the corner, and investors would shave another few billion off the stock price. The human cost was staggering too. In November 2022, Meta laid off 11,000 employees, its first mass layoffs in company history. 4 months later, another 10,000 jobs were cut. Zuckerberg called it the year of efficiency, but everyone knew what it really was: the metaverse tax. If you're enjoying this deep dive into one of tech's biggest failures, hit that subscribe button. We cover the business decisions behind the headlines, and there's plenty more where this came from. Meanwhile, the actual product kept getting worse. Internal data showed that more than half of all Quest headsets stopped being used after just 6 months. People were buying the Quest 2, Quest Pro, and eventually Quest 3 hardware, trying it once or twice, then stuffing it in a closet. Meta VP Mark Rabkin admitted the brutal truth. Newer cohorts that are coming in, the people who bought it this last Christmas, they're just not as into it as the ones who bought it early. The revenue numbers were equally pathetic. Horizon World's tipping feature, where users could pay creators, had generated less than $500 globally. Total commerce on the platform was around $10,000 cumulative. For context, that's less than a busy McDonald's makes in a day. By late 2022, Meta stock had fallen 73% from its peak. The company that was once worth nearly $900 billion was suddenly valued at around $270 billion. Zuckerberg's personal net worth had collapsed by over $100 billion, making him the poster child for billionaire wealth destruction. The timing made it worse. Facebook's rebrand to Meta came right after whistleblower Frances Haugen had leaked thousands of internal documents showing the company prioritized profits over user safety. Many saw the metaverse pivot as a desperate distraction from regulatory heat and declining trust. Forrester found that only 41% of Americans trusted Facebook, dropping to just 26% in the UK. As one analyst put it, if people don't trust Facebook as a social media company, why would they trust it as a metaverse company? Zuckerberg doubled down. At every earnings call, he repeated the same talking points. The metaverse was the future. Virtual reality would replace smartphones. Reality Labs was a long-term investment, not a traditional business unit. He compared it to the early days of the internet, when nobody understood the potential. The problem was that nobody was buying it, literally or figuratively. Critics were savage. Economist Dean Baker argued that Zuckerberg's $77 billion metaverse investment wasn't just a corporate failure, it was a massive waste of human resources. All those brilliant engineers working on virtual reality avatars could have been solving real problems instead. When companies make stupid investment decisions, Baker wrote, it's not just a loss on their books, but also a cost to society. Then something interesting happened. While Zuckerberg was burning billions on virtual worlds, artificial intelligence exploded. ChatGPT launched in late 2022, and suddenly every tech company was pivoting to AI. The metaverse went from the future of computing to remember when Mark thought we'd all be legless avatars? Meta quietly began shifting resources. The 2026 budget for Reality Labs was cut by 30%. Investment moved away from virtual worlds toward AI-powered smart glasses and large language models. Meta's Llama AI models, their answer to ChatGPT, suddenly became the priority. 70% of Reality Labs' spending was focused on wearables instead of virtual reality. The Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses, launched in September 2023, actually worked. They looked like normal sunglasses but could take photos, record videos, and featured AI assistants powered by Llama technology. No clunky headsets, no virtual worlds, no legless avatars, just useful technology that people actually wanted. 2 million units sold. Production ramped up to 10 million units annually. For the first time in years, Reality Labs had a genuine hit product. At Meta Connect 2024, Zuckerberg revealed Orion, prototype AR glasses that looked like actual glasses instead of ski goggles. The technology was impressive: holographic displays, neural interface controls, the works. But the message was clear. Meta was moving beyond the failed metaverse toward augmented reality and AI integration. The future wasn't escaping to virtual worlds, it was enhancing the real one. It was too late to save the metaverse dream. In January 2026, Meta laid off over 1,000 Reality Labs employees, about 10% of the division. Multiple VR studios were shut down, including Sanzaru Games, Twisted Pixel, and Armature Studio. Supernatural, a VR fitness app Meta had bought for $400 million, was moved to maintenance mode, tech speak for letting it die slowly. The symbolism was perfect. Less than 5 years after announcing the metaverse, Meta was quietly dismantling the teams that built it. Andrew Bosworth, Meta's CTO who oversaw Reality Labs, had written an internal memo in late 2024 titled 2025, The Year of Greatness. He warned that the coming year would likely determine whether this entire effort will go down as the work of visionaries or a legendary misadventure. The verdict is in. Legendary misadventure it is. During Meta's most recent earnings call, something remarkable happened. The word metaverse wasn't mentioned once. Not by Zuckerberg, not by analysts, not by anyone. The $90 billion elephant in the room had been quietly ushered out the back door. Instead, the focus was entirely on AI and the core advertising business that actually makes money. Meta's revenue hit $200 billion in 2025, up 26% year over year, powered almost entirely by Instagram and Facebook ads. The same social media platforms Zuckerberg had declared obsolete were still printing money. The stock recovered too. From its October 2022 low of $89, Meta shares climbed 547% as investors realized the company could survive its founder's expensive midlife crisis. Turns out, having a money-printing advertising monopoly makes you pretty resilient to billion-dollar mistakes. The human cost lingers. Over 21,000 employees lost their jobs between 2022 and 2023. Countless VR developers saw their careers derailed. An entire generation of virtual reality startups withered as the hype collapsed. Looking back, the metaverse failure reveals something profound about Silicon Valley's reality distortion field. A CEO worth $100 billion convinced himself and his shareholders that people desperately wanted to escape reality for a virtual world that looked worse than Second Life from 2003. He spent more money than most countries' annual budgets on a technology that solved no actual human problems. The real tragedy isn't the money. Meta can afford $90 billion. It's the opportunity cost. Those thousands of brilliant engineers could have been working on climate change, healthcare, education, or any number of genuine challenges. Instead, they spent years trying to make legless avatars look less creepy. Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse will be remembered as one of the most expensive corporate pivots in history. A $90 billion bet on a future that nobody asked for, built by a company that people didn't trust, solving problems that didn't exist. Maybe that's the most Silicon Valley outcome possible. In a world where billionaires regularly launch themselves into space for fun, spending $90 billion on virtual reality avatars almost seems reasonable. Almost. The metaverse is dead. Long live whatever Mark Zuckerberg decides to revolutionize next. Just maybe keep it under $100 billion this time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Meta's metaverse disaster, subscribe for more stories about the business decisions that changed everything or changed nothing at all. See you in the next one.